what's up. Hebrew, not a Negro, I'm just trying to wake some people up. Hebrew, not a Negro, I don't think my people know what's up. Hebrew, not a Negro, I'm just trying to wake some people up. Hebrew, not a Negro, I don't think my people know what's up. Hebrew, not a Negro, I'm just trying to wake some people up. Hebrew, not a Negro. Hebrew, I'm official, rock the Bible, it belong to us. Not even a fuss, I tell you, awesome scripts we know for sure. Praise it how fluently that grace, man, that's a major gift. Stay up in the script, like what's a nigger anyway? The definition is a ticket, so we going back to Paul, Acts 13 and 1. Man, we know when it's the business, talk about our history. You play with that, you play with me. Deuteronomy 28 and 60, that made me see.
Jewish people in Israel are. Why is that? How is that factual?
What do you mean? What's the question?
How is that factual that the Jewish people in Israel are the Jews, the true Jews? They weren't scattered by slave ship. Scripture just said that they will be scattered.
Where did it say slave ship?
Bring it out.
Verse 68, I just read 64.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 68.
68, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again. And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
Now, were the Jewish people that are in Israel, were they ever sold and taken by ship and sold to their enemies?
No.
Right. So that's strike one.
No, but they were enslaved by the Egyptians. Is that not what the verse was implying?
Well, they would have to fit that because, again, since you implied that, during that time, the Egyptians, what did the Egyptians look like?
I don't know, you tell me.
Okay, let's go, have you ever seen like the paintings on the walls in the tombs of Egypt?
Right.
What did those people look like?
I don't know, they look like Africans?
Right.
No, they don't.
What do they look like?
They don't have, they're not dark skinned like you guys, honestly.
Why aren't they?
Sudanese, aren't they? They're African.
Why aren't they?
Why aren't they? I'm just saying, that's not what the picture looks like.
So then what do the Egyptians look like?
They have more of a brownish skin.
Are you talking about the people that are there today or ancient Egyptians?
Talking about you brought up the paintings. You brought up the
paintings that are on the wall in the tomb of Khufu.
Right. I don't know. Which tomb are you talking about?
We're talking ancient Egypt.
Ancient
during
Egypt.
Moses' time.
Right.
So you're telling me that those people weren't dark-skinned people?
No, I don't believe they were.
I can even show you. Hey, man, I wish I brought that book. Yeah, I wish I brought that book because King Tut in his tomb,
King Tut was dark.
very dark.
Yeah.
King Tut in his tomb, he has depictions of him killing other tribesmen that were in Egypt. They were darker than he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, very dark. He actually, on his sandal, he actually had a Hebrew and an Ethiopian on the bottom of his sandal, because, like you said, the Israel served. They were slaves in Egypt. Now that's up to you to do that research. You can even look it up on your phone right now.
I don't have a phone, but I'll look it up.
Hey, somebody pull it up, King Tut sandal, and show him what King Tut sandal looked like, and you'll see that. And you'll see that Tutankhamun, he had a Hebrew, and he also had an Ethiopian on the bottom of his sandal, which was symbolic because they had 9 traditional enemies. And King Tut, it was symbolic for I'm going to walk on top of them to keep them under his foot. So we're going to get back to it because you said that they served in Egypt. Now, there was always confusion between the children of Israel and Egypt. Now Moses, you know about Moses, right? Moses served in Egypt, right? Moses had, what did Moses look like? Wasn't he raised in Pharaoh's house? Right? So they mean Pharaoh they had to take him for an Egyptian, right? Was there any question from Pharaoh that he was a Hebrew the whole time he grew up in his house? Did he ever say, hey, there goes a Hebrew, he's not one of us?
I don't know.
Right, you're not going to find it.
I know his mother knew, obviously.
Well, of course, it was his mother. It was Moses' mother. Of course she's going to know he's a Hebrew, right? But when Pharaoh's daughter found Moses. Con, you got Con.
That's what I pointed to right there.
So you have to understand that there was confusion, always confusion between the children of Israel and Egyptians. Right there. Bring that up and show that, brother. Because on the right side, you got to on the, okay, there's a Hebrew on the left side. You see that beard? And he got fringes on his garment. If you can zoom in, and on the right side, there's an Ethiopian. Yeah, look, beard, fringes. Look, show it to him. Now this, Matthew.
That's a Hebrew and that's an Ethiopian. The Hebrew got on them fringes at the bottom of his garment like these brothers got on over here. And you can clearly see one of them is, excuse me, darker than the other. And this is on King Tut's sandal.
And which one's King Tut?
This is
It's on the
King
bottom
Tut's
of his
sandal.
sandal. You're not
This
gonna
is
see
just
them.
his shoe. These aren't him, but these are the people.
Right,
that
but he was saying he was saying King Tut is dark skinned.
But
It's gonna be about that complexion right there.
King Tut.
Now that's King Tut. You just told me.
No, that's his sandal.
He would
That's his
look
sandal.
about this skin complexion, about that guy's.
Now,
It's not him,
if
but
you
that's
really
him.
want, to look up King Tut was about our complexion.
You have a code.
Hey,
What's that? Exodus 4 and what is that?
Exodus 11 and 7.
Moses plucked his hand out.
Oh, he put his head in his bosom. Right.
Con. So we're gonna bring that out too, because that was it was even a Levitical law about the plague of leprosy with the bright skin. So because again, we're talking about identifying God's children, right? Do you know what Christ looked like? You have no idea.
Because it doesn't say anything in the Bible about how he actually, like his skin color. It didn't say
You
anything
said,
about that.
you said what about
It
in the
doesn't.
Bible?
He said it doesn't say anything about
his skin color in the Bible.
Christ.
Jesus.
So it doesn't have a
He
description
never
of
said anything about his skin color.
it doesn't have a description of Jesus in the Bible.
Didn't they?
Are
Didn't
you
they,
sure?
didn't they crucify him? So they know what he looks like.
Yeah, they crucified him.
They know what he looks like. Okay.
No. Get the Daniel
If
7.
they didn't know, why is he white? If nobody knows the description, why do they make him white with long hair?
I'm not saying he's
You know
white.
precept Daniel 7.
Well, we'll find out.
7 or Daniel 9.
We'll see what the Bible says.
Okay.
Okay, I get the one in there.
Yeah, con. So back. Man, I've lost track. So basically, man, what we trying to do is get you to understand the description of Christ. You got Daniel. Is it Daniel 7 and 9 or 9 and 7? Okay, yeah, bring this out.
This is the book of Exodus, chapter 11 and verse 7. But against any of the children of Israel shall not a dog move his tongue against man or beast. And ye may know that the Lord doth put a difference between the Egyptians and Israel.
And the reason that was done because, again, Israel, are you familiar with where Broken Arrow is from here? Israel and Egypt were neighbors, just like that. They were always coming in, famines and all that, coming in for, food and stuff like that. So there had to be a difference. Now, also when they came out, there was some that were mixed multitude, right?
Mm-hmm.
But again, there was a difference put between because they were getting mixed up. You had,
You're gonna show me where it says Jesus was.
oh yeah,
I got it right here.
you ready for that, ain't you?
I got it.
Let bro read. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 1, verse 14. His head and his hair were white like wool, as white as snow. His head and his hairs were white like what? White like wool. Wool. Do you know what wool looks like?
I don't know. It looks like a spider web.
A sheep.
Right.
Look at a sheep. That's wool.
A
Nappy.
sheep, right?
It's a sheep.
Nappy. Can you comb the hair?
Hold on, but
of a
he's
sheep?
telling you
What is hair?
what color his hair was. As white as snow. As white as snow. White, woolly hair. So you give you texture and color.
Can I ask?
Hold on, bring it out. What? Oh. And his eyes was as a flame of fire.
His eyes was a flame of fire because he's pissed off, and he also dabbled in some wine.
So you know when you dabble in a lot of big wine, you're gonna be a little. But he's
So,
pissed
so,
off.
so Jesus wasn't blue eyes, blonde hair.
Who told you that? Are you
you wanna get that?
asking? Are you insinuating, or are you telling us?
I mean, all that is all
Idolatry, right?
no, it's all
Perspective.
right. It's all figurative speaking right there.
Said it's
In the
figurative.
Bible? Oh, this?
You're saying you're talking about when they say it's hair was white as snow. It's
Okay, hold on.
Revealing.
Hey, hold on.
Revelations is reveal.
All right, because
1 and 1.
Hamashi, huh?
Go ahead.
1 and 1, kind. Because read that. Because the Most High, Yahushua, which we call ignorantly known as Jesus Christ, he told John to write this and put it in the book. Okay. Read that. Revelation 1.
The book of Revelation chapter 1, the revelation of Yahshua, which God gave unto him to show unto his servant things which must shortly come to pass. And he sent and sanctified it by his angel unto his servant John.
So he told
Revealed.
John.
He revealed it.
Revelation. You know what revelation means?
I forgot what it means.
It's to reveal.
Right.
So now he's revealing something to John.
Right.
John, write it in the book, right? So let's go back to that again, because you're saying that it's figurative.
Yes.
You're telling me if I was to say, hey, this guy has on a green beanie, a gray shirt, a blue jeans, and a red hood, is that figurative?
Well, when Daniel sees the vision of the wheel with fire, right? Did he actually see a wheel on fire, or did he actually see something else?
He was describing the best he could of what he
Exactly.
saw.
Same thing with Revelation.
Okay, let's go to Daniel 7. Go to Daniel 7. Let's read this. We're going to go to Daniel and confirm what Revelation said. This is before Revelation.
That's Daniel chapter 10, verse 6. His body also was like the barrel.
His body, is that figurative or literal?
What is
His
barrel?
body,
What is barrel supposed to mean?
It's a color.
is a color. So, but when it says his body, is that figurative or literal?
Figurative as in that's speaking of
According
Christ.
to your understanding,
That is speaking
when
of
it says
Christ.
his body,
That's speaking of Christ.
when it says his body, is that figurative or literal?
Right.
In the Bible, it speaks of the body as a
It's
church.
no, it's talking about Christ, but it says his body. Is that figurative
Right,
or literal?
because it can differ depending on the verse. It also
What?
speaks of
But-
it also speaks of the body of Christ
But-
as the church.
But we're not talking
That's
about
fair.
church.
Right. But okay, when you read one body and another body, now what? It's all just one body? It's all just speaking of
But
Christ as a
it's
physical
telling
body?
you
what
telling you what
context this is
context.
in.
All right, that's what I was telling you. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I'm telling you.
No, but I'm asking you because
You were saying figurative and literal.
Right.
But it clearly says his body.
Right. Okay.
Is that figurative or literal?
With that verse,
Is it figurative or literal?
read it.
And his body
His body.
also was like the barrel,
Right.
and his face as the appearance of lightning,
Right.
and his eyes as lamps of fire,
Speaking of his actual body.
and his arms and his feet were like in color to polished brass,
Polished brass. Now I want you to finish. Come on.
and his voice, and the voice of the words like the voice of a multitude.
Hey, was that Daniel 7 said his hair was like pure wool? You got that one? All right, check this out. Finish what you was reading in Revelation. Because now we got with his body. It says his body is like the pure brass. Like pure brass, and color of pure brass. His arms and his feet, right? Revelation 1 and 13. Where you at? 15?
Revelation on 1 and 15. And his feet like unto fine brass,
Feet like in a fine brass, like he just confirmed, right? Can I answer this question? Nah, go ahead. Keep reading.
as if they burn in a furnace, in his voice as the sound of many waters.
Now, what color is brass?
It's like a copper color.
Copper, which is a derivative of what color?
What color is a painting?
I don't know.
What color copper is derivative of?
I don't know.
Like these brothers up here, right?
You guys look like copper?
Brown.
I think so.
Bro, you
It's the
playing.
color of
You're
brown.
hold on.
darker than copper.
Okay.
I can get a penny and put it up. You're not going to be copper color, dude. Come
What
on.
color is
Do
you,
you
bro?
have a penny? I got a penny.
All right.
You got a penny?
Not on me right now.
There you go.
Hey,
Hey,
yeah,
there
hold
you
on.
go.
You got a penny?
I do.
Give that to him. Does that look like that brother's hand that just handed to you?
It's close, but does it look like?
Hold on, can the camera see it? Can the camera see
Oh,
it?
man, come on, man. Don't. Hey, come on, bro.
He said it's
Come
pretty
on.
close, but
Okay,
then
hold on.
does it look like the
But
rest
hold
of
on. After it
Can I have my
said
penny
that
back?
his feet like it's a fine
Joking.
brass. Keep
Wait, wait.
reading. Keep reading. Keep reading.
His feet like in the fine brass, right?
As that right here.
Yep.
As if they burn in a furnace. Then it burned. If you burnt that penny, what color would it turn? If you burned anything, what color would it turn?
Bright orange.
I didn't say keep it on the fire and you're playing
As
with it
it's
like
burning.
like you're a swordsmith or a
It's
goldsmith.
burnt.
I'm talking about burning it. What color would anything turn if you burn it?
You say it would turn to black ash.
There we go. Black. That's a description of the Most High. You can't run around it.
Because its feet is black or black.
Your feet the same color as your body, bro. You know that, bro.
It just said his arms and his feet were the same color in Daniel.
Just say
He had on
like lightning.
He had on a garment down to the foot, clothes down to the foot.
And it just said his face was his garment did not even.
Because he was, you got to understand.
His face was lightning.
You got to right because he was in this glorious state. But his whole, you got to understand. This it described his hair, right? So is that figurative also?
His hair was what? What color was his hair?
White,
Okay.
like wool.
White. Okay. Then what? Now he's black skin with white hair.
His hair was
Have
white
you not
'cause he
ever
was
seen a
stressed.
black man with white woolly hair?
Have you ever seen a Chinese man with white hair?
We're not talking
Where's the wool?
Woolly
Woolly.
hair.
Where's woolly hair?
Ascribe to Chinese people.
There's woolly hair he don't want to see.
that only has woolly hair. Right.
Woolly
What
hair.
nation? What nation? Like I'm saying, like what nation? That only?
Africans. Africans.
Is this like wool? Is this like sheep's hair?
Do I have woolly hair?
All right.
You can't see it from here. You probably do.
Okay.
Have you ever?
So now we can put two and two together, right? You see why now you can get an understanding why we say we're the children of Israel.
Okay.
You understand?
Okay.
Get that in Daniel, what you was gonna read.
This is the book of Daniel, chapter 7, verse 9.
You know?
I beheld till the thrones were cast down, and the Ancient of Days did sit.
The Ancient of Days did sit. That's where he's sitting. Is that literal or figurative?
Huh?
I don't know.
He's telling you, he's saying that where
Yeah,
the
no, he's
Ancient of
calling
Days
it.
did sit.
He's calling himself the ancient.
If
of
you
days,
sit
right?
down, is that literal or figurative? Are you?
He's saying he's been there since the beginning. That's what he's saying.
So is that literal or is that figurative?
No, he said the Ancient of Days. That's what we call God.
Right.
The Ancient of Days.
Is that
Right, meaning that he's been there.
okay? The
since-
Most High,
Exactly.
is he sitting on the throne literally or figuratively? sitting?
Literally.
Okay, let's go. Right on.
God, and it says, whose garment was white as
His
snow,
garment is white as snow.
and the hair on his head was like the pure
The
wool.
hair on his head like the what?
Pure
The
wool.
head on his hair like the what?
Pure wool.
The hairs on his head like the pure wool. So this is the Most High, we just heard in Daniel, his son in Revelation, and also in Daniel. And then you have his children that are in his image, right? Then we brought out prophecy in Deuteronomy to tie it in so you can kind of understand. We know that the Jewish people in Israel weren't taken by slave ships and scattered in every nation because there's no evidence of it, right? So that's strike 1, 2, 3, and 4 for them. All right?
God, this is Revelation chapter 4, verse 2. And immediately I was in the spirit, and beheld, a throne was set in heaven, and one sat on the throne. And he that sat on it was to look upon like a jasper and a sardine stone. And there was a rainbow round about the throne in sight, like unto an emerald. And round about the throne were 24 seats. And upon the seat I saw 24 elders sitting, clothed in white raiment. And they had on their head crowns of gold. But the jasper and the sardine stone, if you put them together, bro, it's a brown, bro.
It's a very dark color.
Very, very dark in color.
So that's 3 different times we showing you what he looked like, but you ain't gonna believe that anyway.
Makai, what you got?
Ain't
Nah, if
praying
he
for
believe on the word, he has no choice but to believe the word. You say you believe every word of the Bible, right? Right? So you have no choice but to believe it. Don't believe what I say, believe what the word says, right?
Let me ask you a question. Who was Moses?
Moses was the one who led the Israelites out of Egypt.
He was in Israel, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to read you this. I'm going to start at 15. Now when Pharaoh heard this thing, he sought to slay Moses. But Moses fled from the face of Pharaoh and dwelt in the land of Midian. And he sat down by a well. I'm going to jump down to, well, let me read it all the way through. And it says, now the priest of Midian had 7 daughters. And they came and drew water and filled the droughts to water their father's flock. And the shepherds came and drove them away. But Moses stood up and helped them. So Moses was helping these young girls right from these shepherds from the well. And watered their flock. Verse 18. And when they came to Reuel, their father, he said, how is it that ye are come so soon today? And they said, an Egyptian delivered us out of the hand of the shepherds.
You just said the Egyptians was dark. Right. So what color sheep think Moses is an Egyptian?
Right. They thought Moses was an Egyptian. I have another question. You know about Paul?
Apostle Paul?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wasn't he mistaken as an Egyptian also?
I don't know.
You don't know? Hey, come on. Hey, yeah.
This is the book of Acts, chapter 13, verse 1. Now there were in the church that was at Antioch certain prophets and teachers, as Barnabas and Simeon, that were called Niger.
They were called what?
Niger.
What does Niger mean? It's really nigger, but what does it mean?
Is it really that?
Niger.
But is it really that?
Yeah, because in translation, they only put an extra G on it, bro. That's all.
Right.
It's the same meaning. But go ahead.
Yeah, same meaning.
Well. In this country,
2,000 years ago,
in this
they were speaking the N-word.
Somebody bring up the definition.
obviously.
You got the definition?
Would you like the definition?
Yeah,
Would
bring
you
up
like
the
the Latin origin and the Greek definition of it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's
Hold on,
it's
hold
pretty.
on,
It's
hold
pretty.
on. We about to get right here.
I think I got it on my
Acts
phone,
chapter 13
too,
and 1.
right there.
And then I'm going to show it to you.
You can. I think it's in the Strong's Concordance too.
Hey,
Hey, can I say something real quick? Go ahead.
come.
I just wanted to say, when it's talking about them Jews, remember the scripture says that you shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen. That means that you have a value. Everybody wants. Your enemies are gonna pay this kind of money for you.
That's right.
Back in those days, show me one Jew that ever got
one Jew that was
sold
sold
anywhere.
to
Somebody,
their
show me a Jew that somebody even cared to go get.
Huh.
Nobody even wanted them to. These people have value. He said you will be sold to your enemy
Right.
for bondman and bondwoman. And we got hundreds of these. Read this word with me. To be what? Sold. The scriptures say right here. And you shall be, I want you to spell this with me. It says, and the Lord shall bring you into Egypt again with ships. By the way whereof I spake unto thee, you shall see it no more again. And there you shall spell this word for me. Spell that. S-O-L-D. It says, there you shall be sold. We got hundreds of signs that says to be sold.
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 Right.
We can't find one Jew that
Not
had a
one
dollar
Jew.
amount on it. Not one. Nobody.
Not one.
So what? Hitler might have said, all right, y'all five. I won't blow your head off today if y'all dig this hole. I'll
Right.
kill you tomorrow.
Right.
That's a job. That's
Right.
being hired. No.
Right.
Dude. And so what? He killed a couple of Jews for a couple of days.
Right, and the thing is that was, they say that was the worst atrocity that ever happened in history. That was the worst atrocity that was ever filmed. Ours was not filmed.
That's right.
Theirs is on film. That was a damn documentary. There wasn't no damn atrocity. Ours was way worse than that, right? Show them what that Niger means.
Certain prophets and teachers as Barnabas and Simeon that were called
Because you got to
Niger,
understand.
right? And if you do the translation, you put an extra G on it.
You have
it's
to
nigger.
understand through
This is the
Hellenization
definition of it, bro.
that our people.
A Niger. Pronunciation.
Hellenize.
Nigger. Nigger,
come.
a Christian.
To
So if you
explain
calling
what
yourself a
Negro-
Christian, you better hold that title too, bro.
Hey, get Ham.
Do you believe that?
Latin origin, black.
And it's Latin origin, right?
But look how you pronounce it. You said it's not pronounced like that, right? Now pronounce
Nigger.
it. How do you say it?
Nigger.
It's nigger,
Nigger.
right? All right.
Right.
Bro, we ain't out here just for no reason, bro.
Thus said the Lord. That's right. All praises to the Most High, man. Now, so a lot of times they tell people that we're the same as the Africans. You know what I'm saying? They say, well, your own people sold you, right? You ever heard they say that about black people? Your own people sold them. Well, there is a difference between us and Africans. You would say, would you agree? Okay. Well, we're going to prove that there's a difference by the definition. Get that? But we're going to pull the Zondervan. I want you to read it.
It's a Zondervan Bible Dictionary. And the definition of Ham. Ham, the youngest son of Noah, born probably about 96 years before the flood, and one of 8 persons to live through the flood. He, Ham, became the progenitor of the dark races.
He became the progenitor, like the forefather of the dark races, right?
But not the Negro.
But not those Negroes and the ones we showed you in Acts 13:1. Not those Negroes, but who?
But the Egyptians.
But the Egyptians.
Ethiopians.
The Ethiopians.
Libyans.
The Libyans.
And Canaanites.
And Canaanites.
So they confused the Egyptians
Right.
and Moses together. So the
And
Egyptians look like
and that's
the
why
Negro,
that difference,
or the
that
Negro
Most
look
High
like-
said he put a difference between Egypt and Israel.
I'ma get right.
Because people will say, oh, they all black. Group them all together. And that's what they do to us today. They'll sell us a story and say, oh, well, your own people sold you. Like, you can go to Nigeria right now, and they have different tribes. Right now, they're still fighting each other. You see what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure it's probably the same in your people's native land, different tribes. They say, oh, we're not the same. You're from the north. You're from the south. Well, how can you tell? Well, to everyone else on the outside, they all look the same. But people who are native to that land, they can say, oh, yeah, you're from the north, or you're from the south. Same thing with us. So it does a good service to be able to differentiate who we really are, the children of Israel. Crown, bring it up.